Hello, knowledge seekers. In this episode of 20-Minute Books, we delve into The Perfect Day to Boss Up, a bold and straightforward guide to seizing control of your life and journeying towards success. This enlightening piece has been authored by Rick Ross, the renowned American rapper, songwriter, entrepreneur, and founder of Maybach Music Group. With 10 top 10 hits on the Billboard 200, collaborations with famous artists like Jay-Z, Drake, and Kanye West, 7 Grammy nominations, and a New York Times best-selling memoir, Rick Ross shares his life story, advice, and mindset that will serve as a compass on your path to success. The co-author of this inspiring book is Neil Martinez-Belkin, the former music editor of XXL and New York Times best-selling co-author of the Autobiography of Gucci Mane, who has provided insight into contemporary hip-hop for platforms including Vice, Mass Appeal, and Apple Music. This book is a beacon of inspiration for dreamers seeking the raw truth about how to achieve success, fans of the song Hustlin', curious about how Ross's hustle pans out in real life, and individuals seeking an alternative to generic self-improvement guides. So tune in as we unlock the essence of this dynamic book and decipher the key to bossing up your life. The Perfect Day to Boss Up, A Hustler's Guide to Building Your Empire. Introduction. Unlock the secrets of hustling to success and commanding your world. Rick Ross, Rose, the boss. This man answers to an array of pseudonyms, but one fact remains unshakable. His ambitious spirit and strategic decisions have established him as a beacon of accomplishment in modern hip-hop and the business sphere. Yet, his journey wasn't always paved with gold. Ross wasn't bestowed with a silver spoon at birth and has grappled with grave hitches all through his life and career. Yet he converted every circumstance, favorable or daunting, into a golden chance to boss up and elevate his game. This narrative condenses Ross's straightforward formula to triumph, both in life and profession. Brimming with insider anecdotes from his musical and entrepreneurial pursuits, it provides tactical guidance on a spectrum of topics, from morphing aspirations into tangible actions, to sensible financial management, to negotiating high-stress predicaments. In this summary, you'll unearth the true essence of being a boss, the ultimate treasure money can secure, and the lessons to be learned from the fate of the megalodon shark, more specifically, how to prevent ending up extinct. Part 1. True bosses envision the grand scheme and recalibrate their strategies based on evolving situations. Around 15 years in the past, Rick Ross burst into the limelight, belting out, "Every day I'm hustlin'," the central line of his smash hit single. And those weren't just lyrics. Even after the success of Hustlin', leading to a significant boost in his bank balance, Ross has stayed true to his hustler spirit. When the pandemic struck, rendering his primary income source, live performances, obsolete, he recognized the need for a new strategy. Hence, he veered towards the Promised Land, his sprawling 235-acre property in Fayetteville, Georgia. The Promised Land is a symbol of luxury, equipped with a recording studio, a personal gym, a movie theater, a bowling alley, several basketball courts, a horse stable, and last but not least, the biggest residential swimming pool in the U.S. Despite purchasing the property in 2014, Ross had barely spent a handful of days there due to his relentless touring schedule. However, the circumstances presented an opportunity for Ross to relish the rewards of his hard work and channel his attention towards his other ventures. Beyond his status as a multi-platinum selling artist, Ross is an entrepreneur boasting a diverse portfolio. He's the mastermind behind Maybach Music Group, a hub for artists such as Meek Mill and Wow. He owns a fast food chain, and he's even dipped his toes into the spirits industry. Add to that his own range of ramen noodles, potato chips, grooming products, and best-selling books. What's the motivation behind these multiple hustles? Ross doesn't intend to follow in the footsteps of 4-time world heavyweight boxing champion Evander Holyfield, who once owned the Promised Land before filing for bankruptcy due to financial mismanagement. Ross's initial quarantine purchase was a John Deere 5090E tractor, perhaps inspired by Holyfield's debt of over $500,000 to a landscaping firm. As he sparked up a joint and began mowing the lawn, he noticed little details he'd previously overlooked: vibrant pink flowers, ant hills, and yes, a fair amount of goose droppings. Reminded of Bruce Lee's famous quote, "Be formless, shapeless like water," Ross resolved to adjust. Regardless of the challenges the pandemic unleashed, he refused to offer excuses. After all, as Ross himself has said, goals don't give a fuck about excuses, no matter how valid. The onus is on us to navigate around obstacles and emerge victorious. For Ross, this entailed delivering guest verses for artists spanning from Anderson .Paak to Freddie Gibbs to T.I., advocating for his brands with renewed vigor, and penning a book illustrating the principles that fortified his resilient empire. Voila, folks. Part 2. To embody the essence of a boss, you need to seize the reins and tread the path. Before tasting the sweetness of success, Ross was just another aspiring rapper residing in DJ Greg Street's basement. His mother was shouldering his car payments, and he was so cash-strapped that his truck often served as his bed when he was away from town. However, all the while he was crossing paths with and networking alongside hip-hop giants like Jay Prince, Tony Draper, and Scarface, and they had no inkling about his situation. Because Ross hadn't portrayed himself as a down-on-his-luck college dropout, he had carried himself like the boss he aspired to be. The kind of vehicle you drive, whether it's a Bugatti or a battered Buick, is inconsequential. What genuinely matters is that you're at the steering wheel, shifting gears, and propelling your life in the direction you desire. If you aspire to be a boss, you have to grab hold of the driver's seat and cover the miles. In essence, you need to invest your energy and time. So, pause for a moment and ask yourself, do you wish to merely give off an impression of success, or do you aim to achieve it genuinely? Because if your destination is the marble corridors of enduring success, you need to travel the distance. You can't just pose near the finish line, pretending to have participated in the race. You've got to undertake and complete the marathon. Otherwise, you'll find yourself ensnared in a fragile straw hut, vulnerable to any big bad wolf that comes along. The process isn't always glamorous. It involves your blood, sweat, and tears. It necessitates perseverance even when nobody's watching, but you wouldn't want it any other way. Money and fame are transient. When you truly invest your time and labor, you attain mastery in something, and that's an achievement no one can snatch away from you. Regardless of the enormity of your dream, you'll need to commence small. An empire takes shape one brick at a time. The first step is drafting a plan. Ask yourself, who's likely to catch more fish? The individual who invests time in crafting a fishing rod, or the primitive man who wishes for a fish to swim into his empty hands? Building an empire also demands the acquisition of knowledge. One of Ross's early mentors, a Miami hustler named Big Mike, shared a valuable piece of advice. You gotta have game if you want to get work. In other words, the wealth of your earnings relies on the depth of your learning. Understand the intricacies of your field. Study the individuals who preceded you and succeeded. What specific actions led them to their position? Once you initiate your journey, seize every opportunity to garner experience. Invest in your personal growth. Polish your skills. Set targets that push your limits but remain within your reach. Don't forget to take a breather to acknowledge the minor victories, then forge ahead. Recall Malcolm Gladwell's 10-0-0-0-hour rule, which asserts that the secret to success in any area is dedicating 10,000 hours to honing your skills. Ross finished high school in 1994. A year later, he abandoned his college football scholarship to pursue a career in rapping. A decade after that decision, he released Hustlin'. You can bet that the taste of that triumph was downright delicious. Part 3. Your choice of time allocation is the most crucial decision you make. If you ever get the chance to wander around the Promised Land, you'll discover exotic art adorning the walls, stacks of decorative bicycles, equines, a room brimming with sports memorabilia, multiple garages hosting numerous vehicles, more vintage video games than you'll find in any public arcade. Some label Rick Ross a hoarder. He, however, prefers the moniker collector. Needless to say, Rose underwent some thorough spring cleaning during the lockdown. But one treasure he'll never part with is his watch collection. The Rolexes, the Hublots, they're worth a fortune, and there's no denying his boss status every time he dons one and enters a room. But Ross's affection for his watches isn't about their worth or the status they confer. It's because they symbolize the most precious resource on earth, time. Every day gifts you 24 hours. Once a day passes, it's gone forever. Therefore, how you use those 24 hours significantly influences your future. This fact underlines Ross's daily mantra, rise and grind. To evaluate your time management, arm yourself with a pen and a piece of paper. Contemplate all the activities that consume your time. Your primary job, side gig, education, relationships, workouts, hobbies, outings, lazy mornings, binge watching on Netflix, casual scrolling through Instagram. Jot it all down. Then, record the duration you devote to each activity. Be brutally honest. If you decide to fudge the figures, well, to quote DJ Khaled, congratulations, you played yourself. Once you complete this exercise, reset and do it all over again. But this time, close your eyes. Visualize the optimal version of yourself, the individual who capitalizes fully on those 24 hours. How does that person allocate their day? Compare the two lists. Gain clarity about your present self and your ideal self. Pinpoint the changes you need to effect. Afterward, be accountable to yourself and set those changes in motion. After all, how can you anticipate your circumstances to alter if you aren't ready to adjust yourself? We've all heard the saying, Rome wasn't built in a day. You'd have to conduct an online search to figure out the actual duration. But the crux of the message is, greatness isn't an overnight miracle. So as you invest your time, practice patience. Let's not forget that hustling was over a decade in the making, and Ross only came perilously close to producing a flop once, when he hurried the creative process. One last note. You know that moment when you're on the verge of collapsing and surrendering? That's your cue to clench your teeth and soldier on. The finish line is closer than you think. Part 4. Building wealth involves letting your money work for you, cultivating ambition, and assembling the right team. Miami's inhabitants aren't typically shy about flaunting their wealth. They often inflate their financial status. Those Lamborghinis cruising around South Beach, many of them are leased. As a young man, Ross witnessed hustlers amass wealth swiftly and fritter it away just as rapidly. When he signed his contract with Def Jam, he received $1 million advance, catapulting him from penniless to millionaire. He could have splurged and depleted his newfound wealth, but for 9 months he behaved as if it were non-existent. He performed hustling at any venue that would pay him and tucked away the earnings. He only dipped into his advance to buy a house after Port of Miami debuted at the top of the charts. Ross indeed owns quite an array of lavish rapper paraphernalia, and then some. But he remains within his financial comfort zone. He refrains from purchasing anything he couldn't afford twice over, and he puts his money to work for him. Consider the Promised Land. Ross acquired it for $5.8 million and started reaping profits from it right away. The property served as a filming location for Superfly and Coming to America, movies boasting multi-million-dollar budgets. Any producer contemplating shooting at the estate must pay a fee just to tour it. The Promised Land, therefore, isn't a financial burden, it's an asset that's already earning its keep. When you opt to save and invest your money instead of squandering it, you can amass an emergency fund and start generating passive income via avenues such as real estate, stocks, and bonds. You'll need to make some sacrifices, yes, but you're trading instant pleasure for a far more luxurious future. and the ultimate luxury money can purchase: peace of mind. Piling up your savings isn't the only key to wealth accumulation. Master P is one of Ross's greatest idols. Much like Ross, he forsook a sports career, straddled the line between music and the streets, and skyrocketed to fame with a smash single, "Make 'em Say Ah!" And like Ross, he was propelled by ambition. Ambition and enthusiasm drive Ross to hustle every single day. These traits have also rendered him substantially wealthier than many of his contemporaries, regardless of their greater record sales or larger social media followings. No one can gift you an unquenchable thirst to fulfill your dreams. You need to ignite that spark yourself. But others can aid you in stoking the flames. Ross is grateful to have a dream team comprising his mother, his sister, and a tight-knit group handling everything from daily operations to security to hyping his audience. They genuinely care about him. They root for his success, and they push him to outdo himself. Thus, identify like-minded, trustworthy individuals to form the bedrock of your empire. Appreciate them, empower them, and keep them close. As Ross elegantly puts it, your network influences your net worth. Part 5, Realizing Your Dreams involves self-belief, embodying an opportunity, and managing emotions. One of the earliest tracks Rick Ross penned was titled, "Where the Hoes At?" At that juncture, his encounters with, so to say, hoes were minimal. He was simply a 9-year-old third-grade student. But he was already refining a potent mechanism for self-realization, manifesting things into existence. He had a clear vision of his destination, so he began rapping from the standpoint of this imagined future self. Later in life, he used the same approach when he aspired to invest in Luc Belaire, a new rose wine brand. After sampling it at a post-show club party, he fell in love with the stylish black bottle with neon pink labeling. However, Brett, the brain behind Luc Belaire, initially didn't entertain the prospect of a business partnership with Ross. Undeterred, Ross devoted the next year to transforming his ambition into reality. He endorsed Luc Belaire without owning any stake, distributing bottles to his music industry contacts, mentioning it in his rap lyrics, and showcasing it in his videos. He refused to take no for an answer. As it turns out, Brett and Ross have been business associates for nearly a decade now. By representing the rose, Ross highlighted another crucial ingredient for success: becoming a must-have opportunity. Don't just talk about your capabilities, display them. Ross illustrated to Brett the tremendous value he could add to the brand. He was prepared to go the extra mile. Ross didn't just secure an investment partnership, but Luc Belaire is now the best-selling French rose in the US. That's the definition of a win-win scenario. Instead of agonizing about things potentially not unfolding as you envision, try focusing on the "what if everything goes perfectly" situation. Even if your efforts don't culminate in your preferred result, take pride in the fact that you chased your passion. Importantly, being emotionally invested in your endeavors is different from allowing emotions to dictate your decisions. Ross learned this through a harsh experience. In 2008, amid his skyrocketing rap career, it was revealed that Ross had previously been a correctional officer. Accusations of him being a pretender started circulating. Instead of responding coolly and admitting that he did work that part-time job for a year as a teenager, he impulsively denied the allegations, an approach which inevitably backfired. Being a boss requires self-awareness. For Ross, that entailed recognizing that certain behavioral patterns he adopted growing up in a tough neighborhood, such as instant fight-or-flight reactions, weren't conducive anymore. So bear in mind, patience and composure lead to victory. Part 6. Forge your own path. Stay authentic and pursue your passion. When Ross got a call from Kanye West's team inviting him to Pinewood Atlanta studios, he was somewhat doubtful. Ross and Kanye have a shared history spanning 2 decades, a relationship defined by Kanye's knack for pushing boundaries. However, Kanye's recent tweet storms had unsettled Ross. Yet they had a long-standing bond. Hence, Ross donned his Balenciaga sweater, got into his Rolls-Royce Phantom, and headed over. Kanye had moved his music production, fashion labels, and presidential campaign from Wyoming to this expansive film studio in Georgia, and he wanted to give Ross a tour of his new kingdom. At the tour's end, he casually remarked, "Tomorrow I might tweet that I don't feel like being president anymore." The reaction of his campaign staffer astounded Ross. "It's going to get 1 million retweets." Kanye's success isn't negated by his unpredictable nature. His provocative persona is integral to his achievements. But Rick Ross prefers a different approach. If you're planning to reach the top by tracing someone else's footsteps, you might want to rethink your strategy. That individual blazed their own trail, and you should be doing precisely the same. Everyone possesses a unique blueprint to success. By all means, learn from others' tactics and strategies and adopt them when it suits you. However, at the end of the day, follow what works best for you. Ensure your actions consistently align with your ethics. The path to success is often filled with twists and turns. It becomes significantly tougher to keep going if your actions don't resonate with your core values. Before his rap career took off, Ross was involved in some questionable activities. Heeding his advice, always operate with pure intentions. Earnings garnered at the cost of other people's welfare aren't worth the potential repercussions. Additionally, don't hustle halfway. Strive to be the absolute best in whatever you do. This becomes significantly easier if you truly enjoy your work. For instance, Ross owns 25 Wingstop outlets. Rapping about chicken wings and endorsing them on Instagram comes naturally to him. He was a devoted Wingstop customer and a fan of their lemon pepper wings long before he ventured into selling them. In the end, hustling isn't a chore, it's a chance to excel. The day you can enjoy every aspect of life, including moments when you're grinding relentlessly, that's when you know you've mastered the game. Part 7. Transform stumbling blocks into stepping stones. Embrace lifelong learning and strive to leave a significant impact. Rick Ross is a rapper by profession. He takes pride in his ability to out-rap a competitor in just a handful of verses. Yet, he had to tip his hat to Anderson Cooper. Labeling Donald Trump an obese turtle in the aftermath of the 2020 elections? Brutally effective. Being a sizable individual himself, Ross felt a brief surge of sympathy for Trump. However, Trump's behavior was far from boss-like. Rather than accepting defeat gracefully, he had attempted to drag others down with him. On your journey to the pinnacle of success, one certainty exists. There will be hiccups, mistakes, and failures. The sooner you learn to take your L's, acknowledge and accept your losses, the more content you'll be. Often, your losses provide the most potent lessons. By scrutinizing your failures and shortcomings, you can embark on a path of self-improvement. In simpler terms, remain a lifelong learner. This principle is applicable to personal as well as professional growth. An open mind is the key to continuous victories. Consider Jay-Z. He continues to be an immensely talented musician. However, he recognized early on that his fame as a rapper had a shelf life. During his zenith as an artist, he transitioned into the world of business, emerging as an even more influential figure. If you're stuck and resistant to learning and growth, you're likely to fade into oblivion, just like the extinct megalodon shark. And this isn't limited to your career. In his quest to amass a net worth of over $100 million, Ross found himself sacrificing precious time with his children and disregarding his health. His relentless pursuits led him to multiple life-threatening incidents, including his first seizure at the age of 35. Fortunately, these episodes were wake-up calls for Ross. He began eating healthier, incorporating exercise into his routine, and prioritizing sleep. Surprisingly, these changes amplified his productivity. Reflecting on his journey amid the pandemic, Ross realized the importance of occasionally pausing to ensure you're on the right track. Success isn't solely about accumulating wealth. It also encompasses the influence you exert on your environment. With this understanding, he launched a Wingstop branch in his birthplace, Clarksdale, Mississippi. The venture not only created employment, but also breathed new life into the formerly deserted Greyhound bus depot as a Black-owned enterprise. It now serves as a beacon, encouraging dreamers to dream big, but also to remain grounded in their roots. Rick Ross's forthcoming album, titled Richer Than I've Ever Been, is a tribute to his entrepreneurial prowess. Equally, it's an ode to his intrinsic yearning to delve deeper and live with greater purpose, an attribute epitomizing a true boss. Final summary. Rick Ross's story encapsulates a journey of relentless hustle, transforming him into a paragon of success. Just like him, you too can rise to the zenith of your game. There are a few tried and tested strategies that can propel you towards this goal. Quit rationalizing, invest effort, manage your finances and relationships wisely, remain authentic, and perceive each failure as a stepping stone towards progress and growth. However, the voyage to success begins with a single step. There's no time like the present to boss up and take charge of your life. Thank you for joining me today on this journey of learning and discovery as we explored the insights of another thought-provoking book in our growing library of knowledge. If you've enjoyed our time together, please take a moment to follow our podcast, give us a 5-star rating, and share 20-minute books with other knowledge seekers. Your support truly means a lot. Don't forget to join me again in the next episode, where we will delve into another enriching book. Until then, happy reading and happy listening.